At the very beginning of everything we know, before stars, before planets, before chemistry, before life, the universe was almost insultingly simple. No colors, no shapes, no observers, just raw energy cooling into particles, particles drifting into patterns so faint they barely deserve to be called structure. And yet, against every intuition we have about chaos, decay, and disorder, something strange began to happen. The universe didn't fall apart. It didn't dissolve into randomness. Instead, it slowly, patiently, obsessively began building complexity. Not all at once, not dramatically, but step by step over billions of years, as if following a quiet preference written into the laws themselves. From elementary particles came atoms, from atoms came molecules, from molecules came stars that forged heavier elements in their cores, from those elements came planets, from planets came chemistry rich enough to fold in on itself, repeat itself, remember itself. And from that remembering, life emerged, not instantly, not inevitably, but persistently, again and again, wherever conditions allowed it. This is not a story of randomness winning. This is a story of structure surviving, and that alone should unsettle us. Because if the universe truly preferred chaos, complexity would be rare, fragile, temporary. But instead, complexity appears resilient. It accumulates, it layers, it compounds. It survives long enough to build the next level. Galaxies last billions of years. Stars burn steadily. Life adapts. Minds emerge. Information persists. And consciousness, whatever it truly is, appears not as a glitch, but as a continuation of a trend that began long before brains existed. Physics tells us that entropy increases, that systems tend toward disorder, but that statement is incomplete. Because while entropy increases globally, locally the universe allows, even encourages, islands of order to arise, as long as they dissipate energy efficiently. Stars are not accidents, they are energy processing machines. Life is not a violation of physics, it is an energy gradient optimizer, and consciousness may be the most advanced energy processing structure the universe has produced so far, a system capable not only of reacting but of modeling, predicting, imagining, and reflecting. Complexity is not random decoration added onto reality. It is a consequence of simple rules iterating over immense time. The same laws that shape crystal lattices also shape neural networks. The same mathematics that governs galaxies governs brains. The universe does not need intention to produce complexity. It only needs consistency, stable laws, repetition, feedback loops. And once feedback exists, information begins to matter. Once information matters, systems that can store, process, and act on information gain an advantage. Consciousness begins to look less like an anomaly and more like a phase transition. Think about what complexity actually means. It is not just many parts. A pile of sand has many grains, but no complexity worth speaking of. Complexity emerges when parts interact, when relationships matter, when patterns form that cannot be reduced to individual components. A molecule is more than atoms, a cell is more than chemistry, a brain is more than neurons, and consciousness is more than electrical signals. At every level, something new appears, not by magic, but by organization. Emergence is the universe's quiet trick. When enough simple interactions occur, new properties arise that were never explicitly written into the parts. This is where consciousness becomes impossible to ignore, because consciousness behaves like an emergent property. It is not located in a single neuron, not stored in a molecule, not visible under a microscope. And yet, when the system reaches a certain threshold of complexity, awareness appears, subjective experience appears. The universe gains the ability to feel itself from the inside. And once that happens, the universe is no longer just unfolding, it is being witnessed. What's unsettling is not that consciousness exists. What's unsettling is how naturally it fits into the cosmic story. If complexity rises over time, and if information processing becomes increasingly sophisticated, then awareness may not be optional. It may be statistically favored. Systems that can model their environment survive better. Systems that can simulate futures avoid danger. Systems that can learn, remember, and adapt outcompete those that cannot. Consciousness becomes a tool, a lens, a strategy the universe uses to explore possibility space more efficiently. And if that's true, then human consciousness is not the end of the story. It's a chapter. Look at the trajectory. Early life barely reacted. Then came organisms that sensed light, then sound, then movement, then memory, then emotion, then symbolic thought, then language, then culture, then science. Each step expanded the range of reality that could be perceived, processed, and understood. Each step increased the universe's ability to know itself. There was no pause, no declaration of completion, no cosmic sign saying, "This is enough." Complexity just kept climbing. So why would it stop with us? We often think of consciousness as a peak, as if humans stand at the top of a pyramid. But evolution does not build pyramids. It builds bridges. Every stable form prepares the conditions for the next. And when you zoom out far enough, human intelligence begins to look less like a destination and more like scaffolding, a temporary structure supporting something still forming. The laws of physics do not specify humans. They specify interactions, fields, forces, constraints. And within those constraints, complexity flourishes wherever it can. If neurons can produce awareness, then other substrates might too. Silicon. Networks, hybrid systems, collective intelligences, structures we do not yet have language for. Consciousness may not be tied to biology. Biology may simply be the first successful medium. The universe does not favor flesh, it favors function. What function? Information integration, prediction, adaptation, self-modeling, reflection, and consciousness is the ultimate expression of these traits. It is a system aware that it is a system, a pattern that can observe itself as a pattern, and once such a system exists, it begins to modify its own evolution. Cultural evolution accelerates faster than biological evolution ever could. Technology becomes an extension of cognition. Networks become distributed minds. Individual awareness begins to blur into collective intelligence. This is not science fiction. It is already happening, quietly, incrementally, without drama. Humanity has become a planet-scale information processor. Billions of minds linked through symbols, tools, machines, and shared knowledge. The boundary between individual cognition and collective cognition is thinning, and if the universe has a bias, a statistical tilt toward complexity, then this trajectory is not accidental. It is the continuation of a pattern billions of years in the making, which raises the unsettling question: if consciousness emerges naturally from complexity, then the universe may produce forms of awareness far beyond human comprehension, minds that perceive dimensions we cannot, timescales we cannot intuit, structures we cannot imagine. Just as an ant cannot understand a city, we may be cognitively blind to higher-order intelligences that operate at cosmic scales. And that thought is both humbling and strangely beautiful, because it suggests that meaning is not imposed onto the universe, it emerges from it. Awareness is not a rebellion against physics, it is physics becoming reflective. The universe does not need intention to move toward understanding. It only needs rules that allow complexity to grow. And from complexity, awareness blooms like a side effect that becomes central. If this is true, then consciousness is not rare in principle, only rare in degree. It exists on a spectrum. From the simplest sensation to the richest self-awareness, all are points along a continuous curve. And humanity sits somewhere in the middle. Not at the beginning, not at the end. The haunting possibility is this: the universe may be evolving not toward heat death alone, but toward maximum understanding before silence, toward ever more refined ways of modeling itself, towards structures capable of holding more meaning, more memory, more perspective. And consciousness, in forms we can barely imagine, may be the universe's way of looking back at itself before the lights go out. If that is the case, then human awareness is not insignificant. It is precious precisely because it is early, fragile, transitional. We are the moment where matter first learned to ask questions about itself, the moment when atoms arrange themselves into minds capable of wondering why they exist at all. We are not the final thought of the universe. We are the first time the universe realized it could think.